Hi, I'm Adam Gunton, founder and managing partner of Behavioral Health Partners. Today, we're diving into a conversation that's long overdue, addressing the stigma surrounding mental health and what we, as leaders in the behavioral health field, can do to promote awareness, compassion, and real change in our communities. Because let's face it, the stigma is still very real, and it's one of the biggest barriers preventing people from getting the help they need. But the good news? We can do something about it. We can educate, we can model vulnerability, and we can make sure that when someone finally raises their hand and asks for help, they're met with support, not shame. Let's explore some real actionable strategies for breaking the silence and shifting the culture. First, we need to define what we're up against. Stigma around mental health is more than just a lack of awareness. It's often fear, it's misinformation, it's the belief that struggling with your mental health means something is wrong with you, or that asking for help is a sign of weakness. It shows up in workplaces, in schools, in churches, and even inside families. We've all heard the phrases, just tough it out. Therapy is for people who can't handle life. Real men don't talk about their feelings. This is just a phase. These ideas don't just stop people from seeking help, they contribute to worsening symptoms. They isolate people, deepen the pain, and sometimes cost lives. So, how do we change that? Let's break it down into strategic actions that can be used in any community by any provider or advocate who wants to lead the charge. One of the most powerful ways to reduce stigma is to make mental health a regular topic of conversation. That starts with us, as providers, therapists, program directors, and advocates. Talk about therapy like you'd talk about going to the gym. Talk about managing depression like you'd talk about managing diabetes. Make it normal. Here's how. Share educational content on social media about common mental health conditions. Host live talks or Q&As at community events or churches. Encourage your staff and leadership team to share personal stories if they're comfortable with it. When people hear these conversations happening openly and consistently, they begin to unlearn the shame associated with them. You don't have to do this alone. Collaborating with schools, faith-based organizations, libraries, and employers allows you to bring mental health education directly to the places where people live, work, and gather. Offer a monthly workshop at the local high school on managing anxiety. Teach a class at a church titled Faith and Mental Health. They can coexist. Partner with a business to provide mental health trainings for their leadership team. Every time you enter a space that hasn't traditionally talked about mental health, you widen the circle of influence and reduce stigma at the root. Language matters. And when it comes to addressing stigma, we need to be intentional with the words we use. Avoid phrases that label people by their diagnosis. Say a person living with a bipolar disorder, not a bipolar person. Say they're in recovery from substance use, not they're a junkie. Also, watch how we talk about seeking help. Say they decided to work with a therapist, not they finally cracked and had to get help. These small shifts signal to others that mental health challenges are part of the human experience, not something shameful or abnormal. In person and online, people need a safe space to ask questions, share their experiences, and connect with others who understand. You can host mental health support groups, virtual coffee chats with a licensed counselor, panel discussions with alumni from your treatment center. The goal is to allow people to see themselves in others' stories. That's where the walls come down. That's where stigma starts to crumble. And don't underestimate the power of peer voices. Having people with lived experience speak out can be incredibly impactful. One of the most common misconceptions about mental health and substance use is that people never get better. But we know the truth. Recovery is not only possible, it's happening every day. So tell those stories, celebrate the wins, show what recovery looks like in real life. You can do this through video testimonials from past clients, social media posts sharing anonymous success stats, blogs on your website that walk through what treatment really involves. When we center hope instead of hopelessness, people are more likely to believe they too can change their lives. Reducing stigma isn't just about public messaging. It's about what happens at every touch point inside your organization. Train your front desk staff, intake team, and call responders to speak with compassion, clarity, and non-judgmental language. Make sure every counselor, every therapist, every team member knows how to respond when a client expresses fear or embarrassment about their mental health. When your team lives and breathes this mission, it radiates outward. Don't just talk about stigma during Mental Health Awareness Month. Make it part of your year-round outreach strategy. Create a quarterly awareness calendar with topics like suicide prevention in September, stress and anxiety during the holidays, how to talk to your kids about depression, The more consistent your messaging, the more you become a trusted resource in your community. If you're a behavioral health provider looking to make a bigger impact, it starts with your message. At Behavioral Health Partners, we help treatment centers build congruent, powerful brands that normalize care and remove barriers for those who need help the most. Book a call with us today or visit our drug rehab marketing page to learn how to lead your community with compassion and credibility. Reducing stigma isn't an overnight fix, but it is one of the most important missions we can take on in this field. Because behind every person afraid to speak up is someone who could have healed if only the door was open wide enough. Let's open that door. Let's be the voice that says you're not broken, you're not alone, and help is here when you're ready. Thanks for watching and being on the mission to break the stigma and end addiction with Behavioral Health Partners, your trusted partners in growth and impact.